The Lakers have finally escaped their toxic relationship with D'Angelo Russell, trading him back to Brooklyn for a 3-and-D wing that might breathe some life into LA's disappointing season so far. Hello everybody, welcome to Awesome Rusty Buckets. If you're over on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to the channel and drop a like, and check us out over on Spotify and Apple Podcasts if you want to enjoy this as an audio-only experience. There's also going to be, this is going to be a weird hybrid video. There's going to be an announcement at the end, and we're also going to be going over some content that we're going to be doing over on a third channel going into 2025. That will be the top link in the description if you want to go ahead and subscribe to that, but more on that at the end. So, the Los Angeles Lakers have agreed to a deal that says D'Angelo Russell, Maxwell Lewis, and 3 second-round picks to the Brooklyn Nets for Dorian Finney-Smith and Shake Milton. Now, I don't personally think that Shake Milton is going to end up being all that impactful of a player for them. He's had moments where he looks like a real guy, but only moments. But Dorian Finney-Smith, on the other hand, I think is a great upgrade from D'Angelo Russell. Now, this was definitely a controversial trade for a couple of reasons. First of all, D'Angelo Russell is just outright a controversial player. And his time in LA has been very controversial. But what I have been saying for a very long time is the inconsistency with D'Angelo Russell is not worth the highs of it, the lows that come with it, and the inability to have really any level of expectation for how he will perform, especially in a playoff setting. I think that just negates all of his value. I do not have a lot of patience for players like D'Angelo Russell, and I personally think that there is this bias that a lot of basketball fans have towards players who can technically create off of the dribble, can average 16 to 18 points per game, decent playmaker, decent ball handler. We have a bias towards that type of player above the likes of someone like Dorian Finney-Smith, who is just a 3-and-D player. But the reality is there is a certain threshold of quality you can have as a creator, where if you do not reach that threshold, you're not actually that valuable of a player. Yes, D'Angelo Russell will still have games where he puts up 20 points. He will still have games where he occasionally flashes the all-star potential that he displayed in Brooklyn previously. But having a guy that you know is solidly going to be a very strong defender, and B, a consistent catch and shoot option, that type of player is just more valuable across the board. And I think the Lakers got a whole lot better by making this swap. So the starting lineup now projects to be, more likely than not, it's going to be Austin Reeves at the point guard position, which is also something that I've been saying for a minute, is that I don't think D'Angelo Russell is discernibly that much better of a playmaker than Austin Reeves is, nor that much better of a shot creator. Austin Reeves actually has a much better inside the arc game than D'Angelo Russell does. And I kind of like the idea of him just playing the point guard position outright, especially considering you also have LeBron as a distributor. So if their lineup going into this now is Austin Reeves, Dalton Connect, Dorian Finney-Smith, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis, that's fantastic. That is 40-ish% three-point shooters. I don't know what Austin Reeves is doing this year. I know he's been a 40% three-point shooter before. I know that Dorian Finney-Smith currently is this year. I'm also not all that certain on Dalton Connect's percentages. All I know is those 3 guys are guys who I trust to shoot the 3 ball well and will do so consistently. But then also, you are upgrading your defense by having Dorian Finney-Smith out there. Dalton Connect has been a fine defender. Dorian is a really good perimeter defender. LeBron has actually had a lot of positive moments as a defender this year, which is especially surprising considering happy birthday, LeBron. He did just turn 40 years old today. This is a pretty good birthday present, all things considered, because I think it makes the Lakers considerably better. I have been saying for a very long time now that get LeBron and AD, another creator, and then otherwise everybody else be 3-and-D guys. And that is exactly what they are going with this new starting lineup. To add on to that, is it Max Christie? I think I'm pretty sure his name's Max Christie. Their guard has been, who I didn't think really belonged as a prominent part of the rotation. He's been hitting his threes like crazy lately. He's a pretty solid defender. So the Lakers, I feel very good about them on this end of things. I think this makes them a much better basketball team. So yeah, good for the Lakers on that end. And then on the Nets end of things, probably a fine return. Not great considering some of the reports that have come out, including that the Memphis Grizzlies apparently offered their 2025 pick. Now, it was top 15 protected, which I felt was a little unnecessary because they're gonna make it. They're gonna not be one of the bottom 15 teams in record, but whatever, unless something just fucking tragic happens. I guess it's possible. But a first round pick that more than likely would have conveyed is probably better than a couple of second round picks. And I don't imagine they're viewing D'Angelo Russell as like some reclamation project. Maybe they are. Maybe they're like, oh, we can get the juice from back when he was here in Brooklyn in 2019 to come back. But I really think that is seriously unlikely considering almost everybody, if not everybody, I'm pretty sure literally everybody is gone from that roster that was there then. Not to mention Kenny Atkinson, who is now coaching in Cleveland. So I don't know how long D'Angelo will actually spend his time with the Nets. A backcourt of him and Cam Thomas sure is a great way to command a tank. That'll definitely be, hey, look, we can have some guys score 20 every other night. We're not going to fucking win basketball games, though. So for the Nets, it was cool. I liked the idea of Dorian Finney-Smith being packaged with Cam Johnson for Michael Porter Jr. I did a video that didn't get released about why I thought that would be a way better trade for Denver than a Zach LaVine deal, but wasn't one that necessarily made a ton of sense for Brooklyn, and this one makes a little bit more sense depending on what they end up getting for Cam Johnson. But yes, A+ for the Lakers. I think this is a home run move. I think it fits what the Lakers want to do a lot better. You're reducing your shot creation a little bit technically, but you're majorly bolstering your defense, specifically your perimeter defense, and you're getting more consistency. The biggest issue I had with D'Angelo Russell was consistency, and that factor of just your season is going to go is entirely determined by if D'Angelo's jumper is going in today or not. You don't have to worry about that anymore. This team is not going to live and die by D'Angelo Russell, and I think that is just for the better. I think there is a lot to be said about the importance of just not being all that volatile, of just being reliable and consistent, at least knowing what your baseline is so you can build upon it. But if you have someone like D'Lo who some nights looks like an all-star and some nights looks fucking unplayable, you're just not going to know what your baseline is on a night-to-night basis. Sometimes it'll swing in the positive direction, but we've especially seen in the postseason, more often than not, it swings in a negative direction. So yes, A+ deal for the Lakers, and I think I'd give the Nets like a B. It was fine. You got some draft capital. You could probably end up moving D'Angelo for something else. But again, I just want to emphasize, just because one guy is a former all-star, just because one guy has averaged 18, 19 points per game before, does not mean they're actually better at impacting winning basketball, especially on a team that already has good offensive options. They needed to add to their perimeter defense, and they needed to reduce their volatility, and they did that. So yeah, that's that deal. What we're going to do now is, well, we've been getting some trades for some of our patrons who are on our Discord server, and I wanted to spend the rest of this video reacting to some of that, but let's go ahead and get into some of y'all's proposed trades.
All right, Jacob, so this first one comes from D'Lo's strongest soldier. He's one of our strongest soldiers.
Zion and Herb Jones, as well as Javonte Green, I guess, for salary filler, to the Pelicans for Kawhi and Michael Porter Jr. and a 2030 first-round pick from the Clippers.
He says Clippers get some more defenders and interior offensive presence. The Pelicans get a decently valuable pick and can try to win with the Kawhi injury sweepstakes.
I don't understand that even a little bit, because between Zion and Kawhi, while he's older, has at the very least displayed an ability to be available in a postseason setting for the Clippers at times. Like, he has definitely actually showed up to that job a couple of times. Like, it's fucking comparing piss to shit. But, you know, if we're looking at who's been more available, technically overall it has been Kawhi. If we're looking at who's proven they can be a superstar force in a postseason, it is Kawhi. So I don't understand why the Clippers would be the team giving away a very valuable 2030 first-round pick here. That just doesn't make any fucking sense to me. I mean, Herb Jones is cool. Herb Jones is a very good player, but Herb Jones is the type of player you want to have when you have other players that he can complement. So if he's the center of this package, that does not work. Zion doesn't really make a lot of sense to me for the Clippers to invest in. Doesn't really make a lot of sense to me for anyone to invest in. If you're the Clippers and you're like, well, we've historically been an underwhelming franchise that consistently deals with injury issues, you know what we should bank on our future being? Zion Williamson. I don't think that's the move at all. As for the Pelicans end of things, I would rather just go with an outright rebuild. The first round pick is nice, so it's not nothing by any means. But no, I just don't think this makes sense for the Clippers at all. Especially because right now, like, look, obviously, people are talking about Kawhi Leonard like he's dead. Like, it's just impossible for him to come back and actually play. I realize we've played that game multiple times, but, like, he's been available for 2 or 3 full postseason runs from the Clippers. He has been there throughout an entire playoff series that they won because of him a couple of times. So, yeah, no, I don't think the Clippers, especially with James Harden looking good, with Norman Powell looking good, do I think they're really going to make noise in the Western Conference? No, but I also just watched a bunch of Kawhi Leonard highlights to make the main channel video we just posted about Kawhi, and that dude's a different fucking animal when he really is healthy. And if they were just able to get a healthy stretch for a little bit, they could actually make some noise. And I think I'd rather do that if I'm the Clippers than A, give up a massively important future first round pick, and B, invest in a player who is more interested in eating Cheetos and fucking porn stars.
Is Kawhi Leonard even the best defender in this trade?
Herb Jones is I mean, it depends on your perspective. I haven't seen Kawhi play defense like that in a minute, so I don't know. But yeah, I don't approve of this trade. What in the fuck? We're not.
So this one comes from Nick, not our Nick, a different Nick. He says, Warriors fill their need for a second, third, and fourth option while the Thunder get some more guards to run the 5-guard lineup they love. Thoughts? And this is definitely a silly one.
Yeah, it's a good bit. Let's move on. This is interesting.
We got 3 straight from Kate here. This one has Cole Anthony, Jet Howard, and a 2027 first going to the Magic for Colin Sexton.
I like this deal because the Magic need a little bit more scoring off of the dribble juice, and Colin Sexton can provide that without you really having to give up anything that crazy. I think provided injuries do not get in the way, that 2027 first, you should feel pretty comfortable giving away. Jet Howard has had some moments as a player to the point where I'd be a little apprehensive about giving him and a first round pickup. I would maybe throw a protection on that first round pick, and then I'd say go for that. That's a good deal. Cole Anthony is bad. Cole Anthony's a bad player, and I've always thought he was a bad player, but this year, now that Orlando's actually trying to be really competitive and has been really competitive even with multiple players going down, it's been exposed that Cole Anthony's just not good. But yeah, I think that's a pretty good deal. I would add a protection to that pick, but that's my only change, and nothing crazy. The Utah Jazz receive Gabe Vincent, Max Christie, and a top 8 protected 2026 first round pick for Colin Sexton. That's not the worst, but I also feel like if I was going to trade a first round pick at this point, if I'm the Lakers, I want a player a little bit better than Colin Sexton. Top 8 protected is cool, but I would honestly maybe go lottery protected at that point, especially because I think the 2025-26 season will be LeBron's last. If I was a betting man, maybe they end up being good enough even with that, but I don't know. I feel iffy about that one. I just feel like the Lakers could do a little bit better with that draft pick, but it's not a bad deal by any means. All right, the Utah Jazz receive Zeke Naji, Peyton Watson, Jalen Pickett, and Hunter Tyson for Jordan Clarkson. No, I do not think this is the type of player that... I'm seeing a lot of people propose trades for the Nuggets where I'm like, do we realize they're a good offense? I have hearkened on the point multiple times that they're relying on Jokic too much, but truly I think the biggest struggle for them right now is catch and shoot 3-point shooting and perimeter defense. Their perimeter defense is not what it was when they won a championship. Nikola Jokic is getting exposed now more than ever with his defensive liabilities as a result of that. So I wouldn't trade for the guy who is a poor three-point shooter the last couple of years. And if you're considering his percentage, he's a high volume guy, but I believe he shot like sub 30% on a full season with the Jazz last year. Yeah, I just would not do that. I also think Peyton Watson's probably a better player than Jordan Clarkson for what this team needs, straight up. So I know you need high volume 3-point shooting, and technically Jordan can do that. Maybe you would argue he'd be better in an environment where he's, not just out here chucking shots because he's on the Jazz, but I just don't like that deal. Hunter Tyson and Jalen Pickett are also young guys who are worth something. So it's like, yeah, let's cash in on 3 young players to get a dude who I just don't think is good and doesn't fit the team's needs. I just don't like it. Ooh, I like this because I really think that the Timberwolves should trade Julius Randle. They did just go on a 3-game win streak, so the timing of it's a little bit funny. But Cam Johnson, Zaire Williams, and Dariq Whitehead for Julius Randle, Rob Dillingham. Rob Dillingham. That's interesting because I've seen mixed reviews from Timberwolves fans. Some people think he's just like dope and they're mad that he's not in the rotation. Some are just like, I don't really understand why we invested in this project at this time. I do think it's mostly because of Mike Conley. You're using Dillingham instead of a draft pick because obviously you don't have your own draft picks. I don't know. I don't hate this, especially because Cam Johnson is going to be would be great for Minnesota. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's cool. I think I would do it. Especially considering how this team's supposed to be a serious contender. I think you give up the Dillingham potential for the Cam Johnson, what he is now. I would hope you could get another player that's actually worth a damn back. I don't know if the Nets have that actually after moving Dorian Finney-Smith, but I feel like you could better than just Cam Johnson moving Randle and Dillingham. But I could be mistaken. I also don't know how interested in Julius Randle the Nets would be. He's on a 2-year deal. Yeah, 2-year deal, $30 million a year. I mean, that's manageable. Dillingham's a cool player that they could get pretty invested in. So yeah, I think that's a good deal. I think that the Nets would probably take that. They'd have to be a big believer in Dillingham, obviously, but I don't think that's a bad one.
Let me read what Yeb Sarah said when they sent in this trade. This gives the Wolves a 3-and-D wing with some shot creation to help space the court. It gets them more dispersed salary, while the Nets get 2 seconds, but they also get a high potential, great young player in Rob on a 4-year contract and a very underrated, underutilized backup center type in Garza, both amazing cheap deals. They also only really trade away Cam Johnson as Derek or Dariq, I don't know which, is just salary filler, and Zaire Williams is one of the most inconsistent and worst rotations in the NBA. Plus, Julius Randle is a great floor raiser, and he could carry the Nets to semi-relevancy.
I don't think the Nets are interested in semi-relevancy. I think if they have any level of sense to them, they're interested in being fucking complete dog shit for a little bit. Ooh, that's interesting. I don't think you can just is that Washington pick protected? Okay, Colin Sexton and Walker Kessler to the Knicks for Mitchell Robinson, Precious Achiuwa, Tyler Kolek, 2025 first-round pick via the Wizards, and 2 second-round picks. Is that Washington pick protected? That's a very important factor in this. If it's not protected, I think this is a home run. I think this is a great deal. Can you look into that in any capacity? Protected 1 through 10? Yeah, that's not going to work. The Wizards are going to be in the top 10. And I don't think you're providing a good enough asset otherwise that the Jazz would be interested in. So I don't think this deal works. If that was an unprotected Wizards first, I would probably hold out till next year. Like if you're like, well, what if that pick is just fucking Cooper Flag? But I was like, yeah, I feel like I would have heard that the Knicks had the Wizards pick unprotected if that was the case. So given that protection, I don't think this deal works. I don't think that's enough of an actual asset. Like it's nice in theory to imagine that that pick would end up working out for the Jazz, but just wouldn't. Mitchell Robinson is not young or really. Tyler Kolek is a guy, kind of, but not really. Same for Precious. So, like, yeah, 2 good players for 1 good player and second-round picks. I just don't think that's going to get it done. I like the idea, dude. That would be cool, but nah. All right, so that was me reacting to some of your trades. If you want to submit some of your trades, go ahead and check out our Patreon that is going to be linked in the description. Our top link is, of course, going to be this new third channel for content just like what you just watched. I'm excited for 2025. We have some big plans. Yeah, if you want to contribute to this content, want to get your trades, your thoughts out there, this is a great way to do it. It's a nice place to be just community-wise for basketball discussion, because especially the more and more Twitter is becoming a cesspool of insults and slurs upon you believing something in basketball that another person doesn't. Cannot state enough how much the basketball discourse landscape has just become depressingly angry. This is a nice, fun, chill vibe. Everyone there is amiable. And if you are a dick and you go in there, you won't be in there for long. So yeah, if you want to have some basketball discussion with some cool people, it is $3 a month over on our Patreon. You're also going to get a bunch of exclusive content there. Some early releases to like parts of main channel videos. We're also going to be changing the names of this channel and the main channel. Not going to do that right this second today. The third channel is going to be named More Rusty. Is that what it was? What Just Rusty. Just Rusty. It's just me. But yeah, that's it. Shout out to Rudy for editing this. Check out all those links as we previously mentioned. This might be our last video this year. I guess it will be. So thanks for decent 2024. We can make it a lot better in 2025 though. That's mostly on us.
I think this is also the last also Rusty Buckets video.
Sure, the name's going to change, so yes, but it's mostly more or less going to be in the same spirit as this. We're going to rename this channel to just Rusty Buckets, like the main channel one, and the main channel one is going to be renamed to NBA Deep Dive with Rusty Buckets. We're also unlisting almost all of the videos over on that channel. We're going to have a more comprehensive breakdown of all of this in a main channel update video. But yes, that's it. Enough yapping. Video's over.